And I had to admit to myself that I saw that they didn't have the capacity, but I thought that me loving them more, me giving them more trust, me showing up more for them would somehow build up their capacity to show up in the same ways that I've done for them.
Hey, it's your girl Liz, the lighthouse keeper for House of Nova Insights, and you're watching Behind the Lyrics, where we take an intimate look at songs to see the meaning behind the lyrics. And today I'm interviewing myself, MC Lizzie Liz Kins, for today's song called Maybe.
I truly know what makes my spirit flow. It has been many years, oh man, stuck in cycles of the past. Breaking free, breaking free. I'm a rebel.
The word maybe is a fascinating choice for both the chorus or the hook and the verse. And it fascinates me because I know that your audience archetypes tends to be natural givers, caretakers, and pillars of strength for those around them. And for them to admit that they were the ones that overgave can probably feel like almost like an existential defeat. And it makes me question, why did you choose to phrase your realization with a hesitant maybe instead of with absolute certainty? Like, I'm wondering what stage were you navigating emotionally that particular word represents? When disillusionment happens and you start seeing the person for what they are, you go through the whole process of grief. You get angry, you get numb, you want to isolate. But then there's a part where you start to accept the reality of what it is. And in that acceptance, you start to realize, or at least for me, I started to realize this person did not have the capacity to love me the way that I needed. And I had to admit to myself that I saw that they didn't have the capacity, but I thought that me loving them more, me giving them more trust, me showing up more for them would somehow build up their capacity to show up in the same ways that I've done for them. And when I used the word maybe, it was just coming into that realization, because again, music is a way that I process certain experiences. I was in that moment of sitting to realize, like, yo, maybe it was I who gave too much to this person. And that's where this pain is coming from. Maybe I gave too much. We get into the verse, right? And we notice a devastating flip where the phrase, hold me down, comes into play, right? The lyric goes, I thought you'd hold me down when you said you'd hold me down. I let you inside and you still let me down. And that's such powerful wordplay. And I'm curious to know, right? Because in urban culture, when someone holds someone down, it's more of a term of like an ultimate praise for loyalty. And clearly, in this essence, it shows a lack of reciprocity towards that loyalty that you've expressed to the individual. So I'm curious if you can let us know, when you wrote this line, how are you processing that harsh realization that your loyalty that you was giving wasn't being reciprocated? I think I was processing it like everybody else. It was a state of disillusionment where you start to realize that the person you were pouring into cannot meet you in the ways that you thought that they could meet you. You start to realize that the version that you had of them in your mind, the potential that you envision them to get to when they had the capacity to get to it, will never come to be. And it kind of hits you hard. You kind of start feeling a little bit bitter, or a sense of like numbness for me, usually it becomes like a bodily sensation where, TMI, but, whenever I have like these anxiousness, like my bowel system starts activating. So it was a lot of like bodily feelings because it's just like, damn, I trusted you, you said you had me. I gave you a chance and you still let me down. And that shit was just a disappointment. You know what I'm saying? So, me processing that, it was just accepting those feelings because, it's not a comfy feeling to process. And in the past, I would want to run away. But this song is to honor that, I feel cold, I feel bitter, I feel angry. I don't like that you let me down and I trusted you. You know what I'm saying? And it's just sitting with those thoughts to then eventually come to the realization that I was also a big part of the pain that I felt. You start seeing things a little more clearly, seeing the expectations that you put on the other person. But yeah. When you close the verse, you hit us with a line that is like a punch to the gut when you say, no one to blame but me. And I'm a fellow intellectualizer, and it's really easy for me to get into that self-blame in the situation. But I'm wondering, when you sing that line, are you coming from a place of that like self-punishment? Or is this exact moment coming from a place of flipping the mirror so then you can reclaim your own power? Like, how do you want the listener to interpret that accountability? When I said, there's no one else to blame but me, and then go straight into the chorus, maybe I gave too much of me. This is the moment where I was processing self-accountability. I had to come to acknowledgement that a lot of the times, especially in this particular song, because this was a pattern that I started noticing where I was just like, damn, why is it that I keep running into this pattern, this experience of people just letting me down? And I had to sit with myself and recognize, I had a certain version of them because I followed what they said and I didn't hold them accountable for what they did. There were so many times where people would say they're going to show up, where they apologize with no change to action, and I just believed the apology and forgave and thought, okay, after this conversation, they're going to do better. They're going to do what they said. But they've shown me signs, even through their lived experiences. A lot of the times these people are navigating survival mode. And I had to recognize, you connected with me because there's parts of me that helped meet your survival needs. And you're not seeing me, I'm not seeing you in this case. So let me be the bigger person to really see your humanity, because it doesn't help to villainize the person, especially given the fact that I'm somebody who has been there, done that, right? I feel like we've all had moments where our survival needs kind of blind us to the ways that we show up in relationships, and it's no different from loved ones. Now, the thing is that compassion is seeing that, but then also recognizing you don't deserve to have to experience that, because when you prolong yourself in that kind of experience, it builds up resentment, and then you kind of forget the humanity in the person. So taking accountability for that and learning when it's the right time to walk away is so pivotal and so compassionate and empathetic to all parties involved. When I come to sing that part, there's no one else to blame but me, is to recognize that, the pain that I feel is because it's not just a one-time thing. That wasn't a one-time experience. This was a prolonged experience of multiple times that I've forgiven and gave more and gave more and gave more, because I thought it was empathy. I thought it was compassion, but it wasn't. I was abandoning myself for the connection, and that's not compassionate, because compassion extends for all parties involved. You know what I'm saying? Because at that point, you're compromising. You're compromising yourself. You're compromising for the relationship, and it never ends well. It ends up in more heartbreak than necessary. So when I have listeners hear that part, I don't want them to necessarily blame themselves and be in that victimized mentality, but know that, just like you were able to decide to give more willingly, you can also decide when to step back, because you have that power. But this is a very intimate moment of still processing that and learning it. So I understand if people interpret it a little bit differently than I do. That's what art is for. But yeah, that's what I would say it's for. There you guys have it. This is Behind the Lyrics with Liz, reviewing today's song called Maybe. And just like always, we got a live bedroom rendition for you guys to enjoy. But if you want to find out more information about what House of Nova is about, or you want to connect, please make sure to check the link in bio, subscribe, do the things, and show some love, you know what I'm saying? This could explain all of this pain. My world weighs heavy on my shoulders. It's quite a load. Empty promises turning me cold. I thought you hold me down when you said you hold me down, and I you inside, then you still let me down. What a shame it is, but there ain't no one else to blame but me, 'cause